The NFL playoffs have gotten just a little bit smaller after the conclusion of the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. It gives us so much to talk about here on the Kirby on Sports podcast. A big thanks to our sponsors, as always. PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, Barrett Pest and Termite Services, Shenandoah Music, and Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage. And don't forget, the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast, Don't Sleep Energy. We appreciate everybody for their support of the Kirby on Sports podcast. It's another jam-packed episode of the Kirby on Sports podcast, and it comes your way right now. Once again, the Kirby on Sports podcast. Welcome to another edition. I am your gracious host, Josh Kirby. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all the support. Let us get to our cast, our crew, our wonderful, faithful crew here. The Weapon, Dan Dembski, my friend. Good evening. How are you doing?
At your service, sir. How are you?
Just doing well. Another
living the dream.
Living the dream. Just getting through the week in, week out, and just thankful to be running a podcast, a great podcast where the world is our imagination, as I like to say.
The world is your oyster. Don't forget it. Don't forget
Absolutely.
it. That's my piece of advice for today.
Absolutely. And one person who brings a lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of drive, and a lot of motivation to this podcast is none other than the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez.
Howdy.
Good evening.
How you doing?
And the camera switched again. I can never get that right, though.
No, that just comes in that way. It's fine.
Well, gentlemen, another week. The divisional round of the playoffs. A lot of exciting stuff to get to. I'm sure we're all ready. Are we ready?
Let's do it.
I suppose.
Yep. So, Carlos, is this worthy of the first game, the Chiefs and the Jags? Is this worthy of?
Why wouldn't it be?
Let's go. 3, 2.
Oh, that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I was very confused by what you were asking.
Is it worthy of that or not?
No, I was very confused. I thought you were like asking if that was worthy to be the first game we talk about, but why aren't we going in order? Was that the first game? That was the first game.
It was.
I'm sorry, dude.
True.
This week has already been long enough, and then just with all the games, I'm ready for football to be over, to be honest. There's so much happening.
Long season.
You would be ready for football to be over? Did I hear that out of your mouth correctly?
Yeah, you did.
I love football.
Yeah, we all do. But, man, there's just too much happening this weekend.
Yeah, I understand. So, I guess...
Yes, it is worthy.
All right, let's get it. In 3.
Join everyone.
Join everybody. And the home of the
Chiefs.
Well, this
Love
was
it.
an interesting game. And Carlos, I'm sure we'll get most of your thoughts on this game as well. But Patrick Mahomes, we've been in this situation before, folks, where Patrick Mahomes gets injured. It looked like a nasty ankle injury. And Chad Henne, who's 37 now, comes in and
Mhm.
I mean, he did
Why
a
is that a surprising number that he's 37? Tom Brady's 45.
well, it's like, but
Aaron Rodgers
Chad
is almost
Henne,
40 years old.
yeah.
37 is nothing.
Because those are rare. I mean, we have to realize. So sorry to go off on a tangent. To play past 35 is hard to find in general.
Yeah, but in a backup quarterback, I don't think it's that hard.
Okay, fair enough. That I mean, I'll give you that one. That is. Now Brady and Rodgers are freaks, though. I mean, come on.
No, for sure. All right, go on. Yeah,
But
you're good.
but it's like you hear the name Chad Henne, it's like, oh, he's still in the league because
I kind of forgot.
Yeah.
because he's just a backup, but came in, had a good drive through a touchdown pass, and we all know Mahomes was going to come back in this game, and he did just that, and he was limping, hobbling. I'm like, my goodness, and this is probably conversation for another night, but that's one of the reasons why Mahomes is in a different tier than everybody else.
It's not even close.
Yeah, it's not even close.
It's Mahomes, and then
Man
3
is an
steps
alien.
below that.
A man is an alien,
Okay.
and that's why
Quarterback.
I love Patrick Mahomes. I just love Patrick Mahomes.
What I realized out of this game is that Mahomes has. Let me rephrase that. What I realized, even with Mahomes injured, the weapons still help him out a lot, and just the way he throws the ball. I mean, this is all recycled. I've said this before, but he's just an animal. And another thing I've learned from this game, Jacksonville, they're going to be an issue next year because I feel like they played decent in this game. The Chiefs had the upper hand. Trevor Lawrence did throw an interception, but still looking at this Jags team, there's a lot of potential to come out of this Jacksonville Jaguar squad moving forward. But the Chiefs over the Jaguars, 27-20. Carlos, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on this Chiefs win at home against the Jaguars?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very important win that they got through. Okay, where do I start here? I mean, Mahomes is just so freaking awesome. That's where we start. I mean, the guy just, I mean, he was in his bag before the injury too. He was moving around. He was making crazy throws. It's funny because like Kirby was freaking out about one of the throws he made, and I was just like, dude, like we've seen cooler, like, but like when you really sit there and you think about it, you got to really like think, like, yeah, like that's not a normal pass, like to plant, like to like basically squat, lean back, and like throw it around a linebacker is just like that's an insane throw to make. And then the injury happens, and you right then and there you knew the game completely changed, and Patrick Mahomes was just not able to really move the way he normally moves, and that made him basically from the superhuman that he is to basically just human, but like still a top performing human. Because like here's the thing, when you watch the film, that whole entire second half, Patrick Mahomes is not driving off of his back leg at all.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah, but literally every pass he threw was all arm, which is insane because most quarterbacks get their throwing power from driving off the back leg and throwing the ball, and like basically like the power's coming from the driving of your back leg, right? Patrick Mahomes wasn't doing that. Patrick Mahomes was just throwing with just his arm, and that is crazy that he has that much arm strength, and it just shows that he's just super talented, and like this is why he's the MVP. This is why people should, I don't know, I haven't met anybody who thinks this, but anybody that thinks that he's like he's all flash and no toughness. Like this guy played, made it to the Super Bowl with a turf toe injury. just played this game with a high ankle sprain. Has had an ankle in the 2019 season. He injured his ankle early in the season and played through that. He also got the dislocated kneecap situation that happened that year too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot
So
about that one.
and anybody trying to say that this dude is not tough is just like, I don't know who you're watching, because like this dude is an animal. He's just so driven to win. And you saw how hard it was for them to get him just to go to the locker room and to take some x-rays. Like he just did not want to go. And on top of that, you got to shout out the rest of the team, because they really stepped up after the injury. Chad Henne leading, the team on that 98-yard drive, the longest, offensive drive, drive in Chiefs playoff history. He led them, he led them down there, got the touchdown, which ultimately ended up being it wasn't the game-winning touchdown, but it was the touchdown that really helped them, get because they only won by 7, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
And the offensive line really stepped up, because I'm pretty sure, I think, and a lot of people think, that Andy Reid definitely pulled that offensive line, to the side and said, hey, like, you got to protect this guy, because like now he can't bail you out. Like before, he could always bail you out if you like messed up, and he would be able to like maneuver his way out of the pocket and make something crazy happen. He's not gonna be able to do that now. So like you guys got to keep you got to keep this Jaguars pass rush off of him. And they did incredible. They had one of their best games that they've had in a while. The defense finally they really like looked good here in making, especially on stopping the Jaguars and on that crazy interception, one-handed interception. It was nuts. Yeah, and just everybody just stepped up their play when Patrick Mahomes went down. And I mean, what else can you say? The Chiefs just looked fantastic. Obviously they still don't look as dynamic as offenses in the past, but that's not who they are anymore. You don't have Tyreek Hill anymore, so you're not going to have those crazy long plays. They're going to be methodical coming down the field. And luckily they have Travis Kelce. So
Still got him. Yeah.
He's, 14 receptions. Insane what he's doing right now. And also, he also runs a crazy good podcast in the New Heights podcast. Love listening to that one. But yeah, no. In terms of the Jaguars, yeah, I mean, listen, I also said in the group messages, these dudes are going to be a problem going forward. I believe they have the right coach in place. They have the right quarterback. I've always been a huge Trevor Lawrence fan. And to see him, be successful, it makes me really happy, because like I really like, that's a good kid right there. Like he's awesome. And yeah, I mean, listen, we all laughed at the Christian Kirk signing. I mean, they weren't wrong. They were right to pay that man that money, because that dude was a problem this season. And Travis Etienne and all them, like that Jaguars team is in good hands with Doug Peterson. And I'm excited to see where they go from here, how they plan to improve this roster, because they got something. I feel something special building in Jacksonville right now. I really do.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And, the AFC South is such that I feel like if the Jags can have a good offseason, maybe bring in a free agent or two, and draft well, I really have no doubt that they could win that division year in and year out, because I think the Titans are slipping, the Colts are a mess, and the Texans are the
Texans are the Texans.
So, there needs to be a team to step up, and I think that the Jags fit that bill. It starts with quarterback and head coach. They've finally found a competent head coach. Not going to dunk on Urban Meyer, because
keep dunking on him because
you better watch it, because you're going to get kicked.
Everything that has been like coming out about what Doug Peterson had to do. Like he had to heal the team. Like that's insane to think about that. The team was so hurt and like traumatized from the whole Urban Meyer experience that like Doug Peterson at one point wasn't even sure people were going to even show up for the off-season workout programs. Like that's insane.
Brutal. It's brutally bad. Yeah. And now you've built that culture there in just one season. Your players love you. You have the support of the fans. The ownership looks competent again because they did not after the Urban Meyer situation at all. It's a really good situation there, and I think they can continue to build this. You could sort of see the Jags. I mean, they were out of their element. This was a difficult environment to go into. You're playing a team that's been there, done that continuously, and it was very slim that they had a chance of winning this game. But they fought pretty hard. I will say that much. I think they didn't quite do enough in the fourth quarter. They made a little too many mistakes down the stretch. That's a young team. I think they're going to be fine. And I think, again, the AFC South is sort of a mess. So one team has to come out of that. I think the Jags have shown, and they have improved so much in just 1 year. Everything from culture to the product on the field. I think they're going to be in really, really solid hands. And I really like the core on offense of Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. And like you said about Christian Kirk, I mean, we all thought that was such a weird and odd signing, but he has turned out very nicely for this offense. You see the confidence that Trevor Lawrence has in him to get him the football, and that spreads. I think defensively they have some work to do. They weren't terrible in this game, but the Chiefs are just, I mean, offensive. They are a matchup nightmare for any defense. So, I think they do have to build the defense a little more, but in general, I'm impressed with the Jags. I think they're going to be back, and I'm not saying Super Bowl or anything like that, but I think this division could be theirs for the next few years if they continue to move in a positive direction. And what can you say about the Chiefs that we haven't all said before? This was just a classic game for Kansas City. Finding ways to win without Trevor Lawrence. I mean, a 95-yard. Sorry,
Patrick Mahomes.
What did I say? Oh yeah,
you said Trevor
Lawrence.
You're
right. Whoops.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Here's a stat.
That's a little different there. What?
Here's a stat. Andy Reid is the only coach to win 10 playoff games with 2 different franchises.
But he's only won 1 Super Bowl, and that was with the Chiefs, baby.
But still, it's crazy to think 10 playoff victories for both the Eagles and the Chiefs.
He's a Hall of Fame coach. I mean,
here's another stat. You want to hear another crazy stat? Patrick Mahomes still hasn't played an away playoff game.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I believe that.
5 straight NFC Championship game appearances. Patrick Mahomes has never played a playoff game away from Arrowhead. That's insane. You
can't. You can't. That type of confidence is just, I mean,
or that just type of success to be able to maintain it for that long is insane.
It's hard. It's hard to do it for 2 straight years, much less 5 straight years to be in this position. So
they got to win another Super Bowl though to be considered a dynasty. To be completely honest, they have to. You got to win 2.
Yeah,
you got to win 2 to be considered a dynasty. You got to.
Yeah,
I got one. We need another one.
And 3, you're really considered a dynasty at that point.
No, 3
solidified your
3. That's your decade, right? That the Cowboys of the '90s, the Patriots of the 2000s, the Patriots of the 2010s.
I was about to say, yeah, they had 2
so far nobody's really claimed this decade just yet. But I mean, if you're going based off of right now, I guess if you go off of just championship appearance games, not at Super Bowls, just championship appearances. Right now, it's tied between Kansas City and the 49ers are right behind them. They only missed 1.
Yep. That's true.
The 49ers are, I mean, we'll get to them in a little bit, but
right there,
they're right there.
It's just crazy to me. Mahomes on one leg is better than 95%. Maybe not that high. I'll say 80%.
No, I'll say 95. I'll say 95. He's better than 95.
It's just crazy because like you said, Carlos, and that's a great point you made. He couldn't even put weight on his back leg to
he couldn't
power
drive. Like he can't drive off of it. That's
Yeah.
And they
And
kept
that's-
showing the replay over and over and over about it, and it's like that the arm strength. Yeah,
He's just too
everything
good.
about
He's
him,
too
it
good.
just blows your mind every single time.
He's the
He's
Michael
a-
Jordan of the sport right now.
He is a video game, literally. I mean, it's just like, and he does things, and you're just like, how's that even humanly possible? But anyway, yeah, Kansas City took care of business. They did what they had to do. They just continued to just do what they've done. I mean, they are the cream of the crop.
They
There's
just
no
win.
team. There's
Just
no
win,
team,
baby.
in my opinion.
Just win,
no,
baby.
no team comes close. No team comes close to them. And it starts at the top for them. I mean, Andy Reid, what a job he's done ever since he got to Kansas City. He's been a great coach there. So hats off to them. I don't really think I can add anything else to what Carlos was saying. I will say it is nice to have a competent backup quarterback like Chad Henne, who's been around the league, who knows the game pretty well. And you could tell, I mean, he was pretty comfortable in that situation, all things considered, and you could see it. And Mahomes is Mahomes. He's magical Mahomes. He just is. And I also give a lot of credit to Pacheco as well. They do a really good job of getting him involved.
Pacheco was
He's really good.
And the
He
play
fi-
design, the play design to get him
he
involved,
finally
amazing too.
decided to look up and see green instead of running into linemen, because that's been an issue with him, is his vision's not really fully developed yet in terms of like being able to see where the holes are. So sometimes he doesn't hit things correctly. He was hitting them correctly, especially more specifically on that drive with Chad Henne. He was really hitting those open spaces more often than not.
Yeah.
I agree with that too.
It's a great point. And the best time to do that is in the postseason. Like it's win or go home. Everybody has to bring their A game. And it's funny. Kansas City could have fallen asleep at the wheel in this game. We saw that in another game. I know we're going to talk about it in a certain extent, but they didn't. And that's to me what makes Kansas City. I mean, nobody can touch them. They're always on their A game when it matters most. And they are a juggernaut. And Carlos is right. If they win the Super Bowl this year, that's a dynasty. To have that much success for 2-3 year, well, more than 2 or 3 years, I think you would consider that a dynasty for sure, especially a couple Super Bowls in that time frame.
Yeah.
And I have nothing else to say. I think Kansas City's defense did what they had to do. Got the interception late off Trevor Lawrence, and they put the Chiefs offense in a lot of good positions, which is, I mean, they just played a complete game. I was impressed with Kansas City, as I have been for quite some time now, for sure.
So the Kansas City Chiefs defeating Jacksonville 27-20 to punch their ticket to the AFC Championship game. We'll be back with more of the Kirby on Sports podcast, recapping Divisional Weekend right after this. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. All right. Welcome back to the Kirby on Sports podcast. The weapon Dan Dembski and the Swiss Army knife Carlos Martinez joins me as we get into the next game on our slate. I mean, this game was very, very bad. And in the playoffs, routes like this, it just makes me,
especially on divisional weekend. Divisional weekend is supposed to be the most fun. This is like when the games are supposed to be like. Remember last year's divisional round. That's when we got the Bills Chiefs games.
Classic.
Like
and you have the Eagles blowing out the Giants, and it's just not entertaining.
No, I literally stopped watching at halftime, and I watched Attack on Titan with my.
That was a good call.
I don't blame you for that. I don't blame you for that, Carlos, because I was contemplating turning it off because there was so much hype into the Eagles and the Giants. The Giants, they looked pretty good against Minnesota, but the Eagles just came out on all cylinders, and anything they did correctly.
Let's ask this question. Did the Giants beat the Vikings because they're good, or is it because Minnesota was just bad?
I think their defense was that bad.
It's the Minnesota playoff curse, yeah. I think that's why they beat them.
Yeah,
it had to happen. Yeah. And yeah, they made Daniel Jones. They made Daniel Jones look like an MVP quarterback, and he did not look like an MVP quarterback in this game.
No,
that's for damn sure.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, everything got told when New York went for it on fourth down, literally at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, that said
everything. That said that Brian Daboll did not believe that his team could beat Philadelphia, in just a regular game. Like, they needed to get on the front foot early and, try to outscore them because I mean, we saw what happened. Look, this Eagles team is just loaded. Like, loaded.
They are loaded. They're so talented.
Man, like, it's just so what a team they've built there in so quick of time too. It's crazy.
A couple draft picks.
Just think about it. Last year, they're getting blown out by Tampa Bay in the wild card round.
Mm-hmm.
They barely made it in. Hell, they lost again. Dallas blew them out on the last game of the season. And now this year they're in the conference championship game, and they are like, and we don't know how healthy, Jalen Hurts is, but I mean, he looked pretty smooth.
He looks okay. Yeah, he passes the eye test. I mean, he was fabulous.
Yeah.
Just fabulous.
Yeah. It's ironic because the last home playoff game for Philly, they beat the Vikings 38-7, and they moved on and eventually won the Super Bowl that year. So, and they honored that team at the game.
Pretty promising.
They honored that team at the game too, which was very cool to see as well because all of those big.
I mean, is it though? I mean, that Super Bowl was only like what 2017. Less than 6 years ago. Like, I don't know if like we should already be on like trying to honor this team already. Like, that Super Bowl was pretty recent, It'd be one thing if it was like the 10-year anniversary or something like that, right? Like, that's not Like
Maybe it was because of the situation, because it was a home playoff game, and the last time they did have
I
a home
think
playoff
that's
game,
the case.
it was the Super Bowl run. So maybe that was the thought process
I
behind it.
don't know. That's just
But
kind of
it's
like
definitely
I don't
definitely
know. I
a
I
short-term
don't
thing.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing.
Yeah, you
That
won't.
like this game, it didn't provide the spark. It didn't provide the energy. But
Yeah, I know. I saw you're complaining on social media. So
yes, but I can tell you one thing. If you need some energy, you got to check out my guys Don't Sleep Energy. They're
Not
the
the smoothest
official.
transition there, but hey, we got
you're
there.
working on it. You're
We got there.
you're working on it. It's a work in progress.
Last week was world class. This one was a little shaky. It was a little shaky.
Mhm.
So Don't Sleep Energy is the official energy drink of the Kirby
I
on
got my
Sports
product.
podcast. Yes, Carlos does. And Dan has his. But Don't Sleep supports those that believe in
Oh, there it
themselves.
is.
Get the energy from the drink and make a statement with the swag. Swag. You can get everything at amazon.com/shops/don't sleep. And our promo code for the Amazon shop is Kirby123. It's good for 10% of your order every single time. You can also go onto their website, don'tsleepenergy.com. Our promo code there is Kirby, 10% off there as well. But Amazon does offer free shipping. So your pick, whatever you want. Don't Sleep Energy, the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast. But
Okay, hold on, pause. So I just now realized why I got the white gear.
why?
Because I got the sugar-free version. That's why.
It matches the
It matches.
the
That's
Yeah.
why. That makes sense.
That's smart.
That makes
makes
perfect sense.
We took
Okay.
15 minutes trying to figure out why Carlos didn't get the black and he got the white.
Black
And
hat and black shirt. It makes sense now.
It makes sense.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good advertising right there.
yeah, well,
Tell you what.
They have a sugar-free. They got a sugar version. Try it.
well,
Yeah, give it a shot.
this game just did not provide that much energy.
No, definitely not. Look, I mean, yeah, we talked about it. Like Philly's a juggernaut right now. Like they're so
Mhm.
good, and New York is on the up and up, man. Like they're in the same boat as the Jaguars. Like I think they have the right guy in place. I think they have plenty of pieces to work with, especially on the defensive side. Getting Saquon looking like his old self again is huge. Daniel Jones, I still don't think is going to be necessarily the long-term answer in in New York, but he's all right for now, right? Like, he's gonna, let's give him some time. Let's see how he does under Daboll. Don't forget Daboll's still the guy who developed Josh Allen. So like, let's see what, let's see what happens next season. And then we can make a determination on whether they should move on or not from Daniel Jones.
No, definitely agree. And it just stuck out to me, the talent disparity that was, it was apparent. It was apparent from the onset.
Mm-hmm.
And the Eagles just have this hunger and drive that I really haven't seen another team have that in the postseason so far. I mean, obviously we talked about Kansas City. We know what they already are and what, they're a juggernaut, and they have been. But Phillies, they have an edge about them that's different.
It feels like they have something to prove, right?
Right.
That's what it feels like.
They definitely do, and you can see that. And it starts with the attitude of their head coach, which sometimes I think he's a little.
I
He's a
can't
little
stand Sirianni. I can't. I hate the guy.
He's a nutty guy.
But he's doing such a good job, and it pisses me off. I cannot stand Nick Sirianni. I need this dude to just go away.
There's no more perfect person for Philly than him. I mean, he is perfect. He's perfect.
Yeah.
It seems like if you pulled somebody like a drunk fan out of the stands, gave him a headset and said, "Hey, you're the head coach." That sort of seems like, and obviously the football knowledge and stuff that Nick Sirianni has. But he is he's definitely over the top and sometimes a little bit too much. But I think he's a great coach, and the players just worship the ground he walks on. You can see that. Maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, but I don't know. Kirby,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, I think Carlos.
Yeah, we lost Carlos there
We
shortly.
lost Carlos. We'll try to get him back, but Nick Sirianni, since the Colts win, and he's like, "That's for Frank Reich." I'm like, this man is on a different level. You know, he just has that
nuts.
edge.
He's nuts.
He has that edge to him where he's like, "Oh man." You know,
And you know, it's so strange because there's sort of a decorum about being an NFL head coach where you don't act that way. That
Sorry,
I
boys,
think
I'm
that
back.
no, you're good. I think that now that you have a coach in Nick Sirianni who acts like he's sort of anti-establishment type thing. That's what I think he is. I don't know. I love it, but I hate it, but I also love it. Like it's kind of nice to see someone who stands up against the norms in a way. Now, whether that will last long term, who knows? That anything could happen in that respect. But yeah, the Eagles are on a whole nother level in the NFC side of things. I know we're going to talk our picks here in a little bit once we get through these games, but I don't know. I just they're special this year, and I was critical of them to start the postseason because we hadn't seen Jalen Hurts for a few weeks, and it was like, well, what kind of shape is he going to be in?
He was a little shaky against the Giants
still,
backups.
Yeah, but still had great numbers, and was solid, pretty solid all game long. So I think he answered the questions that everybody had. I mean, it wasn't perfect, and he certainly didn't come out and set the world on fire. But I think what you wanted to see was just the pieces were there, and it was in motion for him to, probably have an explosive NFC Championship game, which I know we're going to speak on. But the Giants, I think, will be back. Like Carlos said, I think next year is going to go a long way because was this just a fluke year where the Giants made, had a successful regular season and won a playoff game, or is it something they can string together? I don't know. I mean, we've seen a lot of teams in the playoffs for just 1 year, and more often than not, they sort of fade off into the sunset. So I don't know if the Giants are that or not. I think it's just one of those things we'll have to wait and see. But got to give credit where credit's due to Brian Daboll and everything he's done this season. Can he do it 2 seasons in a row? I don't know. It's very hard in this league. It's very hard to have consistency. Kansas City is an outlier. I mean, that's how I would describe it. So, yeah, that's all I got for this game. So,
yeah, can we talk about Jalen Hurts a little more? Because
yeah.
I mean, look, had Jalen Hurts not gotten hurt, I mean, he's a serious contender for MVP as well.
He was, yeah.
Like, it actually kind of. It makes me even more upset that like he got hurt because like I'm just like, man, that it would have been an exciting like race to the finish as to who would be MVP, and just like to think that we were going from leaving or ending the season last year when they lost to Tampa Bay, the questions were, is Jalen Hurts the guy? Okay, maybe we'll keep him this year. We'll see what he's about. Maybe he shows us a little something that'll, but for the most part, we're probably going to go with a new quarterback. In the future, they were in the Russell Wilson sweepstakes, which thank God they didn't win. Like they were pursuing that. But I mean, he has completely shut the doubters up. He has elevated his game into a level I didn't think he could reach because I didn't really believe in Jalen Hurts. I thought he was. I thought during the offseason I was like, man, they got all these pieces, but they still have Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Like, I'm not scared of them. And, I'm still not necessarily scared of them, because, my boys still do pretty well against them, all things considered. But, he's he's done it. Like he did it. Like he's proven that he's an NFL quarterback, and he's the face of the franchise from from here on out. And it's look, again, I hate the Eagles. I do, because obviously I'm a Cowboys fan. But like you got to respect it. You really do, because like this dude just like had all the doubters just like just like bashing on him, saying like he's not going to be the guy. Like Tua beat you out at Alabama. Like you went and then you go to Oklahoma, and like sure you do all right there, but it's not like you won anything down there, and then like you come into the league and you're basically Carson Wentz's backup, and then you were kind of just like the only option left at quarterback because you guys decided to move on from Carson Wentz. And it's not like you were a polished quarterback, but man, Sirianni's really figured out how to use him. And Jalen Hurts just yeah. I'm happy for the guy. I really am.
Yeah, and you said it, Carlos, and it's the ultimate compliment when your head coach, obviously he said, he's like, I don't know if I want to go this far, but it compares you to Michael Jordan in a way, in the way you're out there.
Pump the brakes. We already know who Michael Jordan is right now in the NFL. It's Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts.
It's interesting though. It's interesting.
I don't know who Jalen Hurts would be compared to right now, but it's in a basketball reference, I guess right now.
It's
but
hard.
It wouldn't be Michael Jordan. It wouldn't be Michael Jordan.
But I mean, he's impressed me all season long, and I think you're right, Carlos. If he doesn't get hurt, I mean, he was right there neck and neck with Mahomes, if not even a smidge better at the time.
Yeah, there was a point where he did overtake Mahomes for the MVP conversation. Yeah, there was a point.
Yeah. So again, it's I hate to say it, but is this a flash in the pan season, or is this going to be something we can see Jalen Hurts string together?
We'll see. We will see, I guess.
Only time will tell.
But the NFL is weird. When you think you got it figured out, something comes along and it surprises you. You just don't know.
Well, think about it. The Rams, right? They go on the magical Super Bowl run last season. Of course, they went all in and got all these players, and then this year it just completely fell apart. Like they weren't even like
on their face.
It's not like they even were even close to the playoffs. I mean, so for all we know, next year the Eagles might absolutely suck, but I don't think they will. I think they're going to be one of those teams. It's going to be between Philly and Dallas, for the next couple years as to who wins the NFC East, or I'm sorry, the NFC Beast.
Yeah, I agree. It's just I was surprised. I mean, I didn't expect the Eagles to play as well as they did. I don't know if you guys felt that way either, but I thought it was going to be a much more competitive game. There were still a lot of questions about the Eagles, at least from my perspective. I mean, they got answered and then some. Just a really, really, perfect game plan, well executed. How about Kenneth Gainwell, a guy who only had 240 yards all season, rushed for 112 in this game? It's just weird. Like, you see those kind of players that didn't really have an impact in the regular season, but if you can bring it in the playoffs, that's what counts. So that's another thing too. The Eagles ran the football extremely well, and they had 4 or 5 rushers in this game. So just an impressive win for them. I think they can keep the momentum going, but I know we're going to talk about that later on too.
Yeah, you stole that point about Kenneth Gainwell, because I feel like he really stepped up in that game.
He was great.
Yeah. So, all around great performance from the Eagles. It was all touched on, but the Giants, hopefully they can rebound, because give credit where credit is due. The Giants had a very, very successful season. And that's what Giants fans needed, because the Giants sucked for a long time with all those head coaches that didn't work out, like Joe Judge, Ben McAdoo.
Joe Judge was the craziest one, but
yeah, he was pretty dreadful.
He was literally crazy, because just like he at one point he was. I don't even want to get into it, because that'll take us down a whole rabbit hole.
Yes, it will. But the Eagles over the Giants, 38-7. We'll take another quick break, and when we come back, we will recap the Sunday slate in the divisional round. Stick right here with us.
Hey, sports fans. Thank you for listening to and supporting the Kirby on Sports podcast with founder and host Josh Kirby, along with lead contributor Dan Dembski. Like, subscribe, and give them a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast from. My name is Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation. Our company helps leaders build engaged and productive teams. Exclusively for listeners of the Kirby on Sports podcast, you can take an opportunity to discover your primary communication style and learn more about effective communication with others. Text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free copy of the Working From Home Communication Assessment, where you'll learn your primary communication style, how to better communicate with others not like you, and tips on working remotely based on your personal communication style. 10 minutes, tons of resources. Learn about yourself and your team. Again, text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free assessment report today. I'm Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, where we help you and your team be more engaged and productive by understanding each other better. Back to you, Josh.
Hello, this is Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, giving a shout out to all you people listening to the Kirby on Sports podcast. I'm excited to be a proud sponsor of Josh and his podcast. We've known each other for years, and I want to give you a quick heads up that if you need anything with real estate, whether it be buying, selling, renting, looking for land, commercial, residential, you name it, give me a shout. Our office downtown on 41 South Cameron Street is amazing. Looking forward to sharing more with you. I love being on the podcast with Josh, and you can listen to me also on my own podcast, Iconic Talk, in any platform that you would look for. Find me and my co-host Megan Eanes. Look for us, Iconic Talk. Look for me as a realtor, Icon Real Estate, downtown, and I would love to connect with you. 540-247-1527 is my contact information. Call, text me anytime. Looking forward to hearing more of how I can help you guys out for the people who listen to Kirby on Sports podcast. Thanks so much.
All right. Welcome back to Kirby on Sports podcast, recapping the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. The next game on our list, the Bills and the Bengals. And let me just start by saying this.
We all picked the team wrong. We all picked the Bills.
But would you have thought with DeMar Hamlin in a suite, snow in Buffalo, that this place would be electric? I guess absolutely not, because the Bengals showed up.
It wasn't from the fans' fault.
Who day?
It wasn't the fans' fault. It's not the fans'
and the noise
fault.
was great.
It wasn't the fans' fault.
mean,
Don't sit there and blame the fans in Buffalo. Don't do that.
No, I'm not saying
know
that.
better
I'm saying
than
you
this.
could hear chants.
Yeah, because
the
what were
Bengals.
the Bills giving the Buffalo fans to cheer about? They were losing.
Yeah.
Also, what is there to do what is there to do in the wintertime in Ohio? Let's be honest here. Come on. There's not much.
What
There's
a
not
shock.
much.
If I had to describe this game in one word, shocking.
I wouldn't go that far. Listen, okay, there's so much to unpack in this game.
Yeah, this game is
There's so much
it's a
to
thick
unpack
one.
here. But let's put things into perspective here. 3 weeks ago in Cincinnati, before the whole, DeMar Hamlin situation happened, the Bengals were you could tell they were the better team. They were moving the ball, and it really looked like Buffalo was going to struggle to stop them. Now, obviously, then, the DeMar Hamlin situation happens, and the game gets called off, so we never got to see what was going to happen next. This game was supposed to be to Buffalo's advantage. You're at home. It's a snow game, which, my thoughts on snow games. I'm not the biggest fan of snow games. I really don't like them. I understand that on TV it's aesthetically pleasing, right? I just don't like them, though, because, especially in the playoffs, because I'm just like, I want to see these teams at their best. I don't want there to be excuses like, but all in all, what was the excuse? Cincinnati did great and Buffalo didn't, right?
Right.
So, anywho. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. Just my bad.
You were talking about the advantages Buffalo had. They
Yeah,
had a ton of advantages in
it's
this
at
game
home.
coming into this game. Yeah,
It's at home. It's snowing.
the snow. Yeah,
DeMar Hamlin's in the stadium. This crowd is going crazy, and you blow it in
just
a
goes
way
to show
that,
you.
in a way that, like, it's just crazy to think that this team was being, anointed like this was their year. This is going to be their Super Bowl. After week 1, everybody's hugging, Josh Allen's nuts super hard, and
you're correct. You're exactly right.
And,
You're exactly right.
And of course I'm sitting here like, guys, we still got a guy, in Missouri, who's still the guy. Like, what are you guys doing? All the talk early in the season, they beat the Chiefs in October. All the stuff. They literally changed the playoff rule for them, to help them get there. Everybody's saying, even I was saying, they're on it's them and the Chiefs. They're on a collision course, and they completely fall apart. This Buffalo's offense was not built for the snow. This is a dome team offense, is the best way somebody put it. The Buffalo Bills have managed to build the wrong kind of offense for their stadium. And it really showed, because in the snow, they couldn't do anything. And another thing that we have not factored in that I feel like nobody made too big of a deal about that we maybe should have was the Josh Allen injury. Nobody's talked about that for
the
weeks.
Elbow injury.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, I think he was asked about that after the game. I think he said that he hadn't had issues. He didn't have many issues in this particular game. I think it had gotten better, and apparently he's not going to have to get surgery. So that's a positive thing. But yeah, it was like a Tommy John type situation. Like, I forget what week
he was going to miss time. Remember, like they were like, he might be out for like a month or something, and then all of a sudden he was like, "No, I'm playing."
Yeah,
it's weird.
Well,
it's a strange situation.
The thing about this game, people are going to still put Josh Allen in the MVP.
It does not look like it. I think people are starting to become a little wild, especially because considering the fact that we saw how Joe Burrow has played the past, year and a half, I guess you could say,
fabulous.
right? Because like the second half of last season's when he really started to, not necessarily light it up, but like really started to play well. People were starting to catch on, of course, to make the Super Bowl run. And then this year, they start off a little rough, they had a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, but the second half of the season, they got it together. And just like you see the level of play he's at now, Joe Burrow is the number 2. Like, he is. Somehow, some way, he overtook Josh Allen. And I've been seeing a lot on social media that a lot of people are starting to become privy to that.
Yeah.
Dan shared a tweet today from Dan Orlovsky. We don't give him the respect.
Unfortunately, his name is Dan.
Unfortunately, but of him saying that Josh Allen is still in the same tier as Mahomes and Burrow. Mahomes is in his own tier. Mahomes is in his own tier. Nobody's like him.
Correct.
Sure, Joe Burrow's beaten him 3 times in a row, but they don't actually go up against each other, right? And we all know Mahomes is just he's an alien. Burrow is he's great. He's a super talented quarterback. Like, he really is. Like, he really moves around like his elusiveness in the pocket is reminds
hard to get a look on him.
It just reminds you of a young Tom Brady before he injured his knee. Like, the way Tom Brady used to maneuver through that in that pocket was nuts. If you go back and watch the some highlight clips from earlier in his career, and Burrow just has that like sixth sense, man. And like, on top of that, he's just got weapons galore, and he just knows how to get his guys the ball. Like, so clearly, like, then he's right there in that in that tier below Mahomes, right? Mahomes, that's like alien, great quarterbacks, right? Josh Allen, talent-wise, we know he's there in that tier. Honestly, Josh Allen, talent-wise, is probably in the Mahomes tier. But if you're going based off of results, production, Josh Allen has not delivered. What did you guys do? What have the Buffalo Bills done in the past 3 seasons? Got to the championship game, got completely waxed by the Chiefs. Okay. Last year, play a fantastic game against the Chiefs.
That was a great game.
Right?
Great game.
But you didn't win. 13 seconds, you couldn't close it out, right? You had you literally had to stop them for and hold on for 13 seconds. You guys would have moved on. They did not do that. They changed the rule for you because of that game. What did you guys do this year? You guys struggle against Skylar Thompson in the wild card round.
That was the first red flag right there.
But there's red flags galore before that happened. But yes, that was the first, okay, it's not clicking, right? And then you get completely played off the field by the Bengals at home in the divisional round. We might see this. This might be the ceiling under Sean McDermott. Who knows? Do they need to make a coaching change here? I don't know. But they literally have only made the division round the past 2 seasons in a row. Championship game, you get blown out. So in reality, your best is the divisional. What are we doing here? Why have we been anointing this team as the team? But what have they done? What have they done? Why is it that the Chiefs, is it because the Chiefs are so successful that
they want someone to compete with them?
Yeah,
that's what it is.
This is the team, but in reality, it wasn't the team in Buffalo. We should have been looking at the team in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
Because they're the guys that actually dethroned the Chiefs last year.
Yeah.
And could possibly do it again this year.
Possibly.
That's my rant.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said it. Yeah.
You said it 100% perfect right there.
I mean, results speak for themselves. That's the overall statement there.
Yeah, and it's just another thing,
I just don't think, and sorry to cut you off, but I just don't think Allen should be in consideration for MVP, which I'm hoping people will figure out.
No, he's not.
Well, people were anointing him the MVP at the start of the season. It's just guys, we have so much to play, and you guys are forgetting about the guy in Missouri.
And that should make you happier than anything. The fact that you were saying that
once again, I was vindicated.
You were vindicated. You were vindicated, and rightfully so. I mean, you are exactly right. It's a long season. I think the problem with sports media is the second something happens, everybody has to have a hot take about, okay, what's going to happen for the rest of the season. We all know Josh Allen started the year, at an extremely high level, maybe better than he ever has started a season. I don't have the numbers pulled up.
Well, he changed his game at the beginning of the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
He became what Mahomes became, the guy who wasn't necessarily always looking for the big play, just getting the ball out quickly, finding the quick passes, just becoming this monster, right? Nobody could stop them. And then something happened halfway through the season where he reverted back to his old self, where all he's looking for is playing hero ball and trying to get the big play. I don't know what went wrong with Josh Allen. It's baffling to me that he regressed in the middle of the season after looking like he had progressed in the offseason. And this will be my last point. The other thing that just really irks me is the fact that, again, this team has had very high expectations for, you could say, the last 3 seasons. They have lost. We have always had a built-in excuse. Oh, well, 13 seconds. It's against the Chiefs. What are you going to do? Oh, well, it was the conference championship game. They're a young team. They'll be back. It's the Chiefs. What are you going to do? What is the excuse now? Why is it that Dallas,
they don't have one?
And here's where I'm going to bring it to myself. Why is it that Dallas gets completely crucified for losing to a team that they were supposed to lose to? Because everybody had the 49ers beating the Cowboys, right? That they were supposed to lose to. Why is it that we get absolutely crucified?
Uh-oh.
Dak Prescott gets completely crucified for all the turnovers, right? But Josh Allen has been getting a pass. But Josh Allen is literally one less than Dak Prescott at the end of the regular season, and I don't know where it stands right now. But it's just is it because they're a smaller market team? I understand that it's it's always the funny thing, I guess, to always clown on Dallas whenever they lose. But it's like, why is it that they get such a pass with all the talent that they have, right? And the fact that they've been anointed, that they were that team this year, but they still don't get the same amount of, bashing that the Cowboys have gotten.
Well, I think it goes back to the fact that I think it's because it's hard because Dallas is still America's team, right?
Like, are we? Because we don't have the most Super Bowls anymore. That would be New England.
Listen, they get eyeballs, Carlos. People love them and hate them.
I know we bring the money, but it's like we haven't been
strong.
Successful in 20. Look, we're getting into Dallas talk. We got to hold that off for a little bit.
But that's the thing. I think that's why, and I can't understand why people give Josh Allen a pass, seemingly for everything, right? For all of his playoff shortcomings that he's had. I think part of the big problem with Josh Allen is, and the way he plays the quarterback position, he takes way too many unnecessary hits. I think it's caught up to him. I think that's why I can't point to the play. He injured his elbow this year, but I'd be more than willing to bet that it was on a scramble play like he's had, and he was diving or doing something along those lines, and messed up his elbow doing that. Again, I have no proof of this. I don't have a medical degree, so don't come after me. But I think that's been part of it, is the fact that, like you said, Carlos, he tries to do too much. He tries to play hero ball. He wants to constantly make the big play when we've seen what Mahomes has done. We've seen what Jalen Hurts has done this year. And we've seen what Brock Purdy's done. Take what the defense gives you and just make the play you can make. You don't have to try to get it all in one play. And that has killed them consistently in the playoffs. Now, last year was just inexcusable. I mean, you just can't lose a playoff game with 13 seconds left. Your defense has to be able to get off the field in that situation. So that,
an epic game though. That's probably one of the best playoff games we'll ever have watched.
It was one of the best ones I've ever seen for sure. So I don't necessarily blame him for that one, but I will say you're right, Carlos. The media is so quick to anoint the Bills, but I think it goes back to the fact that they see what Kansas City has done. They want there to be another team. They want there to be the media wants there to be a Brady Manning. That's what the situation is.
And honestly, the rivalry between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, whenever they play each other, it is a Brady Manning type level matchup, right? Yeah.
It's really great.
So
it's great.
If I could just chime in, I
Sure.
think you all bring great points. And I think I'm going to lean towards more towards you, Dan, because I feel like it's usually the Chiefs that are always talked about for a Super Bowl run. And like the Bills and Bills Mafia, they've been waiting for a Super Bowl for such a long time. So I think every year they keep hyping up, this could be the Bills' year. And
that sounds familiar.
You see the talent.
That sounds familiar.
You see the talent. Call it talent on paper. On paper, the Bills look like they can make a deep run, but they're just falling up short every year. And it could be a coaching change that's needed. I don't know. But I think that's where I stand with this. The fact is, the Bills have waited a long time for another Super Bowl opportunity. They're trying so hard to get, but something's just not clicking.
And again, they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. So, I mean, no team has ever come close to that. So there is such a hunger there, and there has been for such a long time. And let's face it, since then, the Bills have not been a threat much at all. I mean, they may have a couple years where they make the postseason, but before Josh Allen, Buffalo. Who cares about Buffalo? They're not a threat at all.
That was Brady's division. Brady owned that whole the Patriots were the standard for so long in that division that
and no one touched them.
Yeah, the Bills just didn't have enough room to, operate in that space until Brady pretty much left. That's when Josh Allen's rise really came. To me, I feel like we're also not focusing enough on what the Bengals have done. This is incredible what they have done.
Absolutely.
This second straight
Absolutely.
AFC Championship game, and this time last year, what did they do? They beat the Raiders at home. Okay, cool, right? They beat the Titans away, on a game-winning field goal, right? Okay, the Titans weren't really like the strongest number one team we had ever seen, right? The number one seed. Okay, they beat the Chiefs after being down. What was it, 24 to 3 or 24 to 7, something like that? I don't remember.
Like
it was
that.
a blowout at
Yeah.
halftime, and then they come out and win the game. They don't let the Chiefs score again. They go to the Super Bowl. They are with it. Like, they were in that game the whole time, and they honestly could have won and beaten the Rams.
They should have.
Okay?
They should have won.
They should have. And what did they do this
enough.
season? They overcame the they overcame the Super Bowl hangover. They started off. I mean, they lost to the Cooper Rush-led Dallas Cowboys in the beginning of the season. That's insane.
They had a rough start to the season.
They had a rough start to the season, but what did they do? They evolved and they changed their offense, to better suit them, and became this juggernaut offensively. Their defense has really stepped up as well. They made a very fine point to get depth in the offensive line because of what happened last season. Remember last season, that offensive line was horrific, and they went out and they got a new offensive line, but also added depth to that line so that if anybody got hurt, which like we said, 3 guys have gotten hurt on that offensive line.
Yeah.
And the guys that they had backing them up have done admirably.
They were great. They were great on Sunday.
Absolutely.
I was going to tip my cap to them.
And to me, it's just like, again, I have to eat crow because I was not a fan of the Jamar Chase, pick. I was very adamant. I was like, this is the wrong pick. They got to get an offensive lineman to protect him. But I mean, my God, that dude is such a cheat code. I wish I had a freaking Jamar Chase on my team. I really do. That dude is so awesome.
If I remember correctly, sorry, Dan. If I remember correctly, at the end of last season, weren't we talking about this Bengals team might not get back to the Super Bowl, but yet again, they're 1 game away from.
Yeah, I think we were.
I don't remember, but I mean, probably.
Yeah, I think we were saying something because it was the Rams. They went all in and look at the Rams and look what the Bengals have done. That narrative has changed. I could be wrong. It would take me a while to get through the Kirby on Sports archives, but
I imagine it's because we obviously had it being the Chiefs and the Bills. They didn't go through the Bills last season, right? Yep. The Chiefs knocked them out the round before, right? So they didn't have to, like, this year, they're going through the ringer. They have, they played the Ravens, who played them super tough, right? And always will. Then they've played the Bills, who were the anointed number 2. Now they're going up to Arrowhead again to play the Chiefs, who they've beaten 3 times in a row already. These guys have the harder path this year, and they have been passing the test, with flying colors thus far.
Flying colors. I was going to say, and I don't want to use the term disrespected, but they haven't been discussed as much throughout the season like Buffalo and Kansas City, just because, like you said, at the start of the postseason, we saw, of course, the matchups and everything, and automatically everyone just assumes, you start seeing it everywhere. Neutral site AFC Championship game, Kansas City and Buffalo, over and over and everywhere. It was just repeated time and time again. That's great bulletin board material for the Cincinnati Bengals.
And they were disrespected by it.
Why were we overlooking them? They went on a run last year and should have won the Super Bowl, by the way. They kind of blew it there at the end. But why? Why were they not discussed? Now, look, they have everyone's attention right now, as they should. You got to give credit to what Zach Taylor has done. I thought when they hired him, I thought, what a terrible move. Zach Taylor? Zach Taylor? Who is this guy? Joe Burrow, his rookie season, gets killed out there. Tears his ACL.
Yep, gets hurt.
Terrible, just terrible. And, my mind automatically goes to, well, he's never going to be the same quarterback again, because most quarterbacks who come back from that aren't. And even though he's been hit a million times since then, because let's face it,
Last season he got hit a lot.
Last season was bad. He got hit a ton. He just toughed it out, and he continued to hang in there and get the ball to Jamar Chase, which is what you have to do. It's just, they are. I'm not going to say they're a juggernaut, but they're on their way. I mean, they have the track record, they have the success, and they have the big wins. I mean, they have the big playoff wins. Joe Burrow, 5 playoff wins so far in his young career. They are impressive to watch. It's just their offense is so relaxed. Like I've never seen an offense.
It feels like such a well-oiled machine.
They're so comfortable in what they're doing. Yeah, there's no rush. There's no like franticness to what they do. We're just gonna drop back and throw the football. We're gonna give the ball to Joe Mixon. We're gonna do what we have to do, and we're gonna make it look easy. And that's all they've done. That's all they've done this postseason, and they are just like, as a Ravens fan, I just hate to see it, but they are. They're going to be the team to beat in the AFC North for quite some time. I don't necessarily think, it's going to be easy to overtake them. If you do, you're going to have to beat them twice in a regular season, probably.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that people have totally forgotten is these guys are the defending AFC champs. They won it last year. So why weren't we and it adds to the point of why the whole Buffalo thing is so is kind of so demoralizing right now, because like now it's like for the next 5 to 10 years, this is what it's going to be. Buffalo's going to have to find a way to get past the Bengals and past the Chiefs. Like this is what it's going to be. And these two teams are the juggernauts right now. Like,
yep.
Like again, the Bengals have now surpassed the Bills. So like, what are the Bills going to do about it? Another thing we do have to bring up is we all kind of assumed that the DeMar Hamlin thing was going to be a sort of motivation for this team.
Are
we sure that maybe it wasn't the opposite, that they experienced something super traumatic,
drain them,
and maybe instead of, they're all human, like maybe it did the opposite. Maybe it kind of just got them, a little in their head. I don't want to say maybe that, but like maybe it didn't give them the spark that we thought it was going to be. I don't know. It's just
hard to tell. I mean, it's hard to tell. Traumatic situation for anyone to go through, especially on the football field, to see your brother, your teammate, just help, lifeless essentially, because he was. I mean, words can't describe how tough that must have been for Buffalo. I mean, Cincinnati went through it as well, right? I mean, they were also there, but it's different when you're the opponent,
because it wasn't their teammate. Yeah, it's not your teammate. Yeah.
So I think that's a great point. I had thought more or less that it wasn't a positive motivation as much as people were hyping it up to be. That's what I think I said in the group chat, something to that effect. Because to me, it was like they kept showing him on TV, and it's like, okay, like, yeah, he's there. That's fantastic. Like, look, I am beyond happy about that. But I felt like it's almost that they wanted Buffalo, like they were trying to hype them up even when they were way behind. And they kept showing DeMar Hamlin on TV, which again, I'm not taking anything away from him. His recovery has been fantastic. He's obviously got, a ways to go still in the offseason from what I understand. But we wish him nothing. I wish him nothing but the best. But yeah, I just don't know if it fired them up in that way. And they came out looking very flat. I mean, they weren't doing anything right. And again, Cincinnati, crisp, clean, right down the field. Again, not a care in the world. They were just out there having fun. Buffalo they seemed more anxious, like they were in a rush, like they just couldn't. Their play calling was a little suspect. I mean, they just weren't sharp, and Cincinnati took advantage of it really from the onset. And This was a dominating game. This was just a dominating game. And I think you're right, Carlos. We have to now put the Bengals and Joe Burrow at number 2 as far if we want to rank quarterbacks and teams in the AFC, because it's, for me, I mean, Cincinnati's got the resume. And and they've done it in 2 seasons, which is just amazing. I mean, in the postseason, I should say.
You talked about the Bengals and how calm they look. I feel like that really helps them because I feel like they're just in their own little mindset. They just got to get the job done. So I feel like that really helps them. And I feel like what attributes it to that too, Joe Burrow, he's just an interesting guy. That post-game press conference, he's like, you better issue those refunds. It's like stuff like that. He's just so relaxed, easygoing. And I just
Can I say something?
Yeah.
He is allowed, he has full permission to talk smack. Why is Eli Apple talking smack? Can he please just stop? He's the worst corner in the league. Stop.
Eli Apple.
Guys,
I go into every game hoping he gets torched.
There's usually one highlight against him. It didn't happen.
I mean, it happened in the
game,
Super Bowl, and it's just like, bro,
True.
like, how did that not humble you? Like, what have you done? Like,
Demarcus Robinson put a sick move on him as well and killed him with that double move. Go ahead.
I think the sore loser of this game is Stephon Diggs because he's just arms up. What are you doing?
That's just
I disagree. I disagree there.
Yeah.
I don't think that's big. He's a competitive guy. He wants to win. Why is that so frowned upon that he's trying to hold his quarterback? I
agree.
Everybody praises Tom Brady when he's sitting there screaming at his receivers, right, to be better.
Right.
But Stephon Diggs can't sit there and be like, hey, Josh, you're supposed to be number 2. Like, come on, let's go. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. There's a double standard there. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not going to put that out there, but yeah, you're definitely right, Carlos. It's called passion when Tom Brady does it. When a receiver or a diva does it, then it's
and
frowned
I get
upon.
It. Stephon Diggs doesn't necessarily have the.
I mean, he's had problems.
Yeah, he's
before.
had prior incidents, but again, Tom Brady has had the issues too. But Tom Brady gets praised for it. Why does Stephon Diggs get bashed? He's not asking out of Buffalo right now.
Yeah.
Okay, he literally said, "Look," and the whole locker room thing where he grabbed his stuff and wanted to get out. Yeah, you just lost, and you lost bad. I wouldn't want to be in the locker room either.
Yeah. I understand, but still, in the heat of the moment, I get it. But still, I just feel like there could have been a better way to handle it. But
okay, how would you have handled it, Kirby?
But yet again, I'm not in the NFL, so maybe I don't.
He would have asked him, "Could you please throw me the football? Thank you, sir."
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice way to say it. Just
nah,
please and thank you.
Doesn't happen.
I think you're too much about
adrenaline's rushing.
I think you're too much about the sanctity of the game type stuff, right? That
he's like Vince Lombardi over here.
Yeah. It's just like
it's enough.
You do realize there are like 15,000 arguments on like your team literally got in a fight on the sideline in Dallas like last year.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Right
So
now.
a little yelling at your quarterback is an ungodly sin? What are we doing here?
And you know how many times that happens where there's not TV cameras on it? Like,
Probably
this game obviously was going to have extra coverage, but that happens all the time. And think about what happens when they go to commercial or something. I'm sure there's screaming up and down the sidelines. So yeah, it's a non-story. It's ridiculous to me.
Agreed.
But
So a lot to unpack in this game as the Bengals defeat the Bills 27-10. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up the divisional weekend, getting you set for championship weekend. Stick right here with us.
Located right here in Winchester, Virginia, Barrett Pest and Termite Services celebrates 25 years of service in 2022. And our veteran staff has over 100 years of combined experience preventing and remediating pest and termite infestations. From ants and termites on the ground to mosquitoes, yellow jackets, and hornets in the air, to one-time corrective services for rodents, to ongoing maintenance, Barrett does the job for residential and commercial customers. We also offer discounts for seniors, first responders, and military. What's bugging you? Let us know today, and we'll be out before you know it. That's Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922.
Welcome back to the Kirby on Sports podcast. The Weapon, Dan Dembski, the Swiss Army Knife, Carlos Martinez with you, talking about the last game on our slate. Before we go into the game, I mean, because I'm sure you have some thoughts, Carlos, but the production quality of Fox, man. A flipping an up top camera on a kickoff return.
So so the Philadelphia one was really bad, right? The Philadelphia New York game, that was really bad. I didn't think San Francisco Dallas was as bad. I think because that was I think that since that was the A team that was there, the number one,
everyone
they had the best crew over there. I think they did a better job, but it's just like, we talked about it we saw NBC's the way they covered Kansas City, and Jacksonville, how they just made it just felt big, like just everything from the presentation, even the camera quality, everything, just like it just felt big. And then you go to Fox and it just feels like a regular season game, and I was like, this is so this is insane how bad this looks. I mean, look, Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olsen are awesome, dude. They're so great to listen to. They are so good. I'm so excited for them to be in the, for them to call the Super Bowl, in a couple weeks. They have been on fire during the playoffs, and they made this game a lot of while stressful, a lot of fun to listen to.
Well, Carlos,
totally agree. They are a fantastic A team for sure.
Absolutely.
Greg Olsen is a natural, and I think, just real quick, if Tony Romo hadn't come along and set the standard, I think Greg Olsen would be the standard.
I think I might put Greg Olsen over Tony Romo. Tony Romo's been a little weird this season. Like, it just hasn't hit.
Yeah. So, getting into the game, Carlos, I assume you would like to start.
I mean, what is there to
Probably
say?
Start and finish at this point.
Like, what is there to really say? I mean, it was like watching last year's game all over again. Like, that's with a little bit of a different touch in terms of the defense actually played amazing. They did a good job at stopping, and containing this 49ers offense and really getting to Brock Purdy. I mean, they had Brock Purdy rattled for most of the game. Like, he didn't know what to really do. But, I just, I don't know, man. This game was like, it was there. It was there for the taking. And Dak Prescott just did not deliver. It was very disappointing.
Well, I think the defense was at that caliber where the Cowboys could have won, because nothing that the 49ers did on offense really impressed me enough to be like, not impressed me enough to be like, oh, this team is primed to win this game. Because like you said, Dallas's defense looked really good. I think Parsons got in there on a couple plays too. I mean, I know Purdy at least got sacked twice, maybe 3 times. I was tuning in and out from here and there, but still, nothing the 49ers did made it seem like that they were going to run away with this game.
But the stuff that the 49ers did that was successful was stuff that we knew was coming. And that was the frustrating part, when it came to, the Dallas offense, is that, like, I understand Tony Pollard got hurt.
That was crushing.
It ended up being crushing. But when it happened, I was like, okay, well, he's not the end all be all. This isn't like we just lost, like Patrick Mahomes here, right? And then it ends up that's the case that we did. And it was just like, the annoying thing about it is that they had been telling us they had been saying all year, last year's loss to San Francisco, that was the motivating thing about this season. That was the, that was the, the whole theme of being more resilient, being tougher. We're trying to be the 49ers because the 49ers smacked us in the mouth and exposed us as frauds last year, that we were too soft. And then what happens this year? Our defense shows up, man. That defense had, again, 9 points in the first half. Insane. Like they were containing Debo. They were containing Christian McCaffrey. They were containing Elijah Mitchell. They were containing, they were getting to Brock Purdy. The only guy that was really getting anything done was, of course, Kittle. But I mean, somebody, eventually somebody's going to get something going, right? But like, it's just like, we saw what this team could look like at its best last week against Tampa Bay. But that was a 9-8 Tampa Bay team, right? Like we should beat teams like that. I don't understand what were the you see, like, my mind goes into so many places. What were the issues? What were the red flags last season going into the San Francisco game? The run defense and the inconsistency on offense, right? That was the issues going into the San Francisco game last year. What were the red flags? And those ultimately costed us, right? Those costed us, in that game. What costed us this game? It was the red flags, the inconsistency on offense, and Dak's turnovers. Dak, I don't know what went wrong with Dak this season, because he only played 14 games, and he had 17 total interceptions, including playoffs, the 2 that he threw here. And some of those interceptions, like the first one, for instance, was just like, you can't do that. But also, like that was how could you not see that? Like, you can't make that throw, dude. Like, you can't. The second one you can kind of attribute to it just being kind of a fluky one, because, but still, like, why are you throwing it where there's two 49ers defenders there? What are you doing? I have honestly lost a lot of faith in Dak Prescott after this, because it's just like, dude, like, this is year 7. You've only won 2 playoff games. You're no better than Tony Romo at this point. Tony Romo only won 2 playoff games in his career. Like, why? And I get now, like, $40 million a year isn't, a lot of money to a quarterback now, because now, like, you got Patrick Mahomes making like 50 and so on and so forth, right? But still, like, we paid Dak Prescott because we believed that he was going to be the guy, right? But he hasn't shown it. How is it that once again Dallas just, like, it was just like I'm sitting there on the couch, I'm just going, come on, why can't it just go our way for once? Like, why? Like, why is it so hard? How is it that we've been to the divisional round for 2007? We were in the divisional round in 2009, 10. That one year we got blown out by the Vikings. 2014 against the Packers. 2016 against the Packers. 18 against the Rams. Last year against the 49ers. This year against the 49ers. That's 7 times we've been in the divisional round in the past. So from 2007 to now, in the past, 15 years, that, like, every time there was a blunder. 2007, the Giants somehow shock us and beat us. 2009, whatever, the Vikings were just the better team, right? That year, we were just never going to win that game. 2014, Dez caught it, but they said that he didn't. Either way, we still lost. 2016, the Aaron Rodgers miracle play to what's his name? To the tight end. I can't remember his name anymore. I want to say it's Cook, but I'm not 100% on that one.
It's escaping me. I know who you're talking about. I just don't remember.
Yeah. The miracle throw to him, and ironically, those are all both Mike McCarthy led teams, and now he's our coach. The Rams, we just get punched in the mouth by who was their backup again? by their backup running back. I can't remember his name right now, but we got smacked in the mouth by him. We couldn't stop him. Last year, we get smacked in the mouth by San Francisco. This year, we just didn't show up offensively.
Yeah.
You know, who showed up? CD showed up. CD had a monster game. Where was everybody else? Dalton Schultz goes out of bounds, you know, going backwards, not doing any forward progression. Doesn't bring his second foot down like we're playing college football here. You know, Zeke Elliott not looking, just like we have to move on from Zeke, to be completely honest. Or if we're going to bring him back, he's already said he's willing to take a pay cut to stay. Sure, let's take it. But honestly, again, the priority needs to be Tony Pollard. But also, where are the wide receivers? T.Y. Hilton, only one catch. Michael Gallup, nothing. Why did we trade Amari Cooper? Like we traded Amari Cooper. We gave Michael Gallup an extension. And I understand he's coming back from the ACL, but he gave us nothing out there. And he's honestly not been anything like the receiver we thought he was going to be. And it's just hilarious how full circle it's been, because at the start of the season against Tampa Bay, what was the issue? The defense showed up, but the offense wasn't there. And then, of course, Dak got hurt, right? But before Dak got hurt, it's not like the offense looked great. And you guys remember how I felt after week 1. It was all doom and gloom for me after that. And then Dallas completely turned it around and went on a nice little run there. But to see basically the same thing pop up at the end of the season shows that Dallas needs to make a real good effort at getting some productive weapons. I think you let Schultz go. I don't think he's the guy. I don't think he's worth a big contract. He can get that somewhere else. I think we're good with the guys we have on the roster, with Jake Ferguson, Hendershot, and the other guy. His name was
good.
Yeah. Like
he's been banged up too. He was banged up in this game, I think. Right?
Yeah.
He didn't play.
But I think I don't remember, but I think we have
something weird.
I think we have good depth in that position, right? We need to get a good wide receiver too, because I just don't think Gallup is a wide receiver too. CeeDee Lamb became a wide receiver 1 this season, right? And that was the reason why they traded Amari Cooper away, was to let him develop into a wide receiver 1, which we now see he can be, right? But Dak needs this offense can't be all on Dak, because it's just not gonna happen. And we've seen it time and time again that Dak Prescott I think we can win a Super Bowl with Dak. I do. I think we can. It just can't be because of Dak Prescott. Like it can't be, like, it's not going to be because of him. It's going to be because we have the right team around him. Mm. And I think that has been the issue all season, is that we have good pieces in place. Tyler Smith, the rookie, nobody had faith in that kid. Everybody thought that was the wrong pick. Everybody's like, why the hell would you? And he was awesome this season. Stepped into the left tackle role when Tyron Smith went down, right? Connor McGovern actually did a pretty solid job at left guard. We saw how valuable Biotish was as center, even though a lot of people have been clamoring for him to be replaced at at center. Obviously, Zach Martin is going to be a Hall of Famer. He's just so consistent. The guy just never fails. And then, of course, right tackle, we had, Terrence Steele there for a majority of the season until we got hurt, and he was solid too. We survived so much this season, resiliency-wise. The Dak Prescott injury, going through that run with Cooper Rush, which we went 4-1. Then, of course, the whole Tyron Smith saga of him not playing the whole season until the end. This team has the resiliency. The question is do they have the talent? I think they could have beaten the 49ers. And I told you guys that they had it. They had what it took to beat them. But for some reason, there's just a curse on the Dallas Cowboys. And I think what needs to happen is we got to get an offensive coordinator that's going to know how to, because I'm not blaming this loss on Kellen Moore. I'm not. I don't think Kellen Moore's to fault here, but Kellen Moore has been an issue all season, right? I'm not blaming him for this game. This game was, I think, mostly on Dak for not executing offensively. But it's gonna, I don't know, man. Like to me, I just don't think Kellen Moore is the guy who's gonna really push this team over, and it's gonna suck because like we just wasted another year. Another year of potential is gone. It's only a matter of time before CD needs a new contract, before Diggs needs a new contract, before a bunch of these young guys that are on cheaper contracts are going to need more money. Chances are we're going to lose Dan Quinn. Like that's gonna suck if we do lose him, and it's very likely we will. I just don't know, man. It's just like, it just really sucks because like it was there. Like if we could like we had Brock Purdy, we had him, and like
he was flustered.
He was holding on to the ball. The defense was we were stopping them, and our offense just could not get going. And it was so frustrating because we're like, guys, we've seen it already. We saw it against the Bucks. Like, Dak, you were reading that defense so well, and then he just could not read this 49ers defense. I mean, I know we bashed on Dan Orlovsky, a little bit earlier, but there was a clip that I saw of him breaking down one, that play where Dak threw to CeeDee Lamb down the middle, and Fred Warner made the block, and they showed. And then they showed that T.Y. Hilton was on the sideline after that play having a conversation with Dak. And then they showed the play again, and they showed that if Dak would have read the coverage like the way he was supposed to, he would have seen that where T.Y. Hilton was going, there was nothing but green. There was nobody over there. Had he just thrown it to him instead, that's a touchdown right there. And that's the game. It's just so frustrating. And then, by God, how the Dallas Cowboys managed to, up themselves one from last year's finish, to, with the quarterback draw Dak, to this, to running a play where why is Zeke like snapping the ball? Why is there no lineman? Why are we throwing it to Turpin? What the hell were we trying to do? Just throw a Hail Mary. Like, I'd rather that than anything. I understand it was going to be like an 80-yard throw, but come on, man. Like, what are we doing? It was just another frustrating loss, man. And it's just like, it's just annoying. It's just annoying that like this is literally what it's been like as a Dallas Cowboys fan my whole life.
Yeah, I don't have anything much to add to that. I will say, I think what they were going for on that closing play was to try to have a like a lateral or something. It sort of looked like that's what they were trying to set up. But even that, I mean, there was like one or two guys behind. It's just like, by the way, great tackle by, I didn't see who made the tackle by the 49ers, but it was really nice form tackle to end the game. But you said it perfectly, Carlos. And we can sense, I can sense the frustration, and obviously so. I mean, it's just been a lot of just Dallas falling flat on their face in this situation in the postseason over and over and over. And I can't imagine how frustrating that must be, because there's been, playoffs where they have been a team that can make a run. We've talked about it before. This year was a little different because I think San Francisco is just so hot coming into this game. But the way Dallas's defense played, you can't ask for much more, to give your offense as many opportunities as Dallas's defense did, which they certainly played a fantastic game. And for the first time made San Francisco's offense with Brock Purdy look sort of out of sorts and out of rhythm, I would say, more than anything else. The biggest issue is just Dak just looked shell-shocked. I don't know what was going on, but it was just something was off. And quarterback psyches are weird. Once they sort of get into that feeling of this is not going well, it's hard to dig out of that. And you could see that Dak was trying to dig out of that situation, but he just kept making it worse, quite frankly. And San Francisco also has a really solid defense, so that also adds another layer to that as well. Like we said before we started recording, Dallas wasn't supposed to win this game, but it's the way they lost it, I think, that's most frustrating, in that they had every opportunity offensively to make something happen. I think the game plan was a little weird as well. Some of the play calling was odd to me. different than what we've seen in games past with Dallas. So really everything kind of went wrong in this game for Dallas's offense. Their defense is fantastic. They have a Super Bowl caliber defense. There's just no question about it. It's just you expected more from Dak Prescott in this game. The money that they're paying him, you have to win these games. You just do. It's imperative. So I don't know how much longer you can give him. I really don't. And I sincerely mean that.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't think we can move on from him just yet, right?
No, not now. But
it's
certainly
just like
you have
I think we have to see some time. Like, look, hindsight is obviously like this sucked, right? This loss sucked, but we have to also look at the bigger picture here. What happened with Dallas? Back-to-back consecutive 12-win seasons. That hasn't happened since the 90s, right? Back-to-back playoff appearances. That has not happened in a while. And I think that's another thing that hopefully becomes the norm is Dallas getting into the playoffs more often, because more often than not, what has happened the past couple times that Dallas has gone to the playoffs is then the next year we don't get there. So that's why it always feels more urgent whenever we are in the playoffs that like, hey, like this is it, because maybe next year we're not going to be here. Well, we did it consecutively 2 years in a row, right? And this season was even harder because we lost Dak for a longer period of time than we did last season, where last season we lost him for about a week, and then we had the bye week also, right? So we lost him for basically just a game. And I think just like, so there's that. And it's just like that, but also we did show progress here, right? Last year we got knocked down the wild card. This year we got knocked down in the divisional. We have to see more progression, with this team next season in terms of, okay, we've seen that there's inconsistency in the offense 2 years in a row. We got to figure this out. We have to figure it out. We have to get something going here, because this fan base is starving for just
anything.
Like we just want, like, honestly, like I'm like, this season I was going to be content just making the championship game. I was going to be like, look, if we would have made the championship game, I would have been like, I'm good. We can, if we lose here, it's fine. We at least made it to the championship game. We're on the right track. But it happened again in the same Dallas fashion of the game is there to be won. Okay? Like, it's right there. And you guys can't finish again. This was supposed to be different under Mike McCarthy, and it's the same thing over and over again. Dallas losing in these absolutely dumb ways. It's just frustrating, man. It just really is.
And can San Francisco, I mean, we kind of saw the blueprint for how to beat their offense. Is that something, I know we're going to talk about the games, but I mean, is there a crack in that offense now, or was that just one of those games where they haven't seen a defense as good as Dallas?
No. That's the thing. If you look at who Brock Purdy had faced leading up to that Dallas game, Dallas was by far the better defense that they had ever faced. They had never faced a defense like, and now they're going up against Philly, who I would argue is equal, if not better, defensively than Dallas. They have about the same amount of talent on that squad. They actually have more talent on that defense than we do. Okay, so they're in for a tough test in that game too. And on top of that, it's not going to be on their home field. They got to go to Philly, and that place is going to be rocking. So Purdy's in.
Their fans are electric.
Purdy's in for a tough one for sure.
Would you agree that something like this has to be addressed from the top?
In what way?
I feel like something's got to change, because Jerry Jones running everything.
He's cursed.
But you see,
never seems to be working.
No. Because again, what did I just point out to you guys? Dallas has been successful these past 2 years. 2 back-to-back 12-win seasons. Hasn't been done since the 90s. They have drafted excellently. I think the only thing that needs to change is their free agency process, because again, who did they really bring in free agent wise? Our biggest signing wide receiver wise was James Washington, who didn't even play all season and then got cut. That's where I think they need to do a little better is definitely gathering talent on the team, but drafting wise, coaching wise, in terms of, I think Mike McCarthy is the right guy for now. But them getting Dan Quinn to be the defensive coordinator would be interesting to see what happens if he does leave. Right. I think the changes that need to be made is offensive coordinator, getting another cornerback to kind of help Diggs, obviously trying to retain as much talent as we can. That's going to hit the free agency market, like Leighton Vander Esch, and Tony Pollard's probably going to get franchise tagged, but keep trying to keep certain guys, trying to keep Dan Quinn will be pivotal, right? But if we do lose him, hopefully they have somebody else in mind that can kind of continue his what he started here. I don't think this season, I don't think that the Joneses were the problem like I did last season. Last season, I really thought that they were the issue. I thought something had to change. But I think that they have gotten themselves a little grace here and have, and should be afforded at least to see what happens this offseason and what's going to happen next year. I don't think we need to make a change at the top just yet.
But why doesn't Jerry Jones, he's the owner and the general manager, why doesn't he bring in a general manager so he can
wants all the credit? We all know this.
Because of his big ego.
It's because of his ego. But
that's part of my issue. The stuff you're saying.
Listen, yeah, that is a big problem, right? Is that it's too much in the family, right? It's him and it's his son, Stephen Jones. They're the ones running the whole show, right? What a lot of Dallas fans would love, of course, is for them to bring somebody outside of the family, somebody who's actually a football person to come in.
That's what I'm saying.
But we don't need. But like right now, we don't necessarily actually need that right now per se, right? Because they have done we don't need that perspective right now. Right now it's just more about just getting some talent around in certain positions that we lost. I mean, think about it. We lost so much last offseason and we didn't really do a lot to replace it.
True.
Right?
True.
You trade Amari Cooper, you let Cedric Wilson go, who would have been awesome on this team, but now he's sitting on the bench in Miami, right? There was so much talent that we lost that we didn't necessarily replace, but those guys that that they believed in, that the Joneses believed would do a great job, did a great job. And again, we went 12-5 again. And we got to the divisional round this time. So it's like this whole notion of
but no one remembers that. Nobody remembers your regular season record. You know what I mean?
But what I'm saying
the Ravens were 14-2 in 2019. Nobody remembers that because they lost in the first round to the Titans. So I'm just saying.
No. It's I get it. But I don't think this season, at least this season, right? Because in other seasons, you could definitely say he was the problem. Jerry Jones was the problem. I don't think he was the issue this season. He pretty much stayed out of the way. Aside from a couple things that happened in the offseason between him and Mike McCarthy, he stayed out of the way relatively. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we get Odell, but who knows?
I wouldn't want Odell. I think he's kind of a mess, but that's just me.
I know we're going to talk about this more in the next segment, but just really quickly, I said this earlier, you weren't in, but one more time, that the San Francisco 49ers, the way they played against Dallas, does not give me any high hopes for this team going.
Kyle Shanahan had a terrible game. It was a terrible game, but he figured it out at the end that I need to just get back to ground and pound here, right? I can't be having the ball in Brock's hands right now because they're getting to him. And eventually they wore the Dallas defense out. Obviously, they were playing at such a high level. You can't maintain that forever. So eventually they started getting, good yardage and all that stuff. And, obviously Christian McCaffrey eventually scored. So yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be a something that's going to have to be considered in Philly. But, maybe Kyle was just in his head a little too much and was trying to do something a little different to try to throw Dallas's defense off, and it just didn't work.
It's funny to me because we see there's so many great quarterbacks in the postseason. There really hasn't been an explosive 300-yard performance. Ground and pound is, it's as old. It's as old as the start of football. Running the football and playing good defense has won in the playoffs for the most part. If you look at these games in some, obviously there's some outliers, but it's just funny to me. The advancements of the passing game hasn't really shown its
but that's been this year in the NFL in total. There hasn't really been a lot. It's been the defense has it's been a lot better. It's evened out. It's evened out again, right? Like the defensive play has come back up to match the offensive play.
I love it. I love a little balance, and it's nice to have that this year for sure. So I know we need to probably wrap and get to the next segments.
Yeah.
So the 49ers over the Cowboys, we're going to take one more quick break, and then we will talk about the conference championships. Conference championship weekend is always fun to discuss right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast. We'll be right back. Hey, it's Josh here for my friends over at Shenandoah Music, here to remind you that Shenandoah Music is your local music superstore. They carry guitars, drums, basses, keyboards, wind instruments, PA gear, recording equipment, and more. Not only do they have the best selection, but they will have the best prices, and better still, the knowledge to make sure you're getting the gear you need. And with the Shenandoah Music credit card, you buy now and pay it off over the next year. So when you think music, think Shenandoah Music in Winchester across from B-Dubs. All right, welcome back to the Kirby on Sports podcast. And gentlemen, I have a really big announcement, and this is going to be a lot of fun. For championship weekend, we're going live, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
We're doing it live, boys. We're doing it live.
And then there is a twist. We're all going to be together.
It's going to be in person at Kirby's house. So we will be live streaming the conference championship starting at I don't think we've determined a start time just yet. But
we have not determined.
We will keep you posted on that.
We will have food, we'll have beverage, and we'll have a great time interacting with
just
viewers, and
if you're watching the conference championship game and you want to kind of hang out with us a little bit, just tune into the live stream and leave a comment, join the conversation a little bit. We'll be there for both the NFC and the AFC championship game. And then, just tune in and, give a little support and, just join the conversation.
And we will be giving away a signed Carlos Martinez poster at the end of it as well.
We will not be doing that. But,
what kind of poster is this? No, I'm just kidding.
All right. So the NFC and
firefighter calendar shoot poster. Yeah.
The NFC and AFC championship games are set. Carlos, I'll have you throw out the picks here in just a second, but the 49ers traveling to Philly, and there's no neutral site game. Joe Burrow said Roger Goodell issue those refunds because the AFC championship game, a rematch of last year, is in Kansas City. So it's the 49ers, Eagles, the Bengals, and the Chiefs. Carlos, I guess we can throw up that graphic for everybody watching on our YouTube page. Carlos and Dan are tied at 7-3 currently, and I suck. I'm 6-4.
And only a game behind, dude. Relax.
Yeah, I still suck at picking, but the picks are set. Carlos, is picking the Eagles and the Chiefs. The Eagles 21-16 over the 49ers, and the Chiefs 28-24 over the Bengals. Dan,
Dan, for reference here, I made that score prediction before I got yours. So when you sent
Really?
yours in, I was like, no shot, we have the same.
I feel like it's one of the most common scores, though, right? Like
It
in this
can be,
type of,
yeah.
yeah.
But I was just
28
like,
to 24 is
like I made this whole graphic and I was like, all right, let me put in my scores first. Then I was like, all right, boys, I need your score predictions. And you said 28-24. I was like, son of a gun.
Dan's picking the Eagles 31-20 over the 49ers and picking the Chiefs 28-24. I will be picking the Eagles and the Bengals. I think the Bengals are on a roll. It could go either way, but I think the Bengals have the slight edge.
It's not an outlandish pick there. It's really not.
Yeah,
it's pretty close.
You
It
know.
was hard for me to pick that one for sure. More difficult, I should say.
I'm picking the Bengals 31-24 over the Chiefs. So
Say your Eagles score, because that one's interesting.
37-24 over the 49ers.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. How do we get to 37 points?
It's scoregami. Scoregami, man.
35 and then a safety.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm trying to like do the math. Like, how do you get to 37? Like, that's a tough one.
It's not
just for reference, boys. The reason why I asked you guys for your final score predictions is because I'm adding a little twist to it. Okay.
Oh,
I'm adding a little twist. If you guess the final score correctly, you get an extra point on your score at the end of the year. So Kirby,
good.
this could be huge for you if you actually, but you have to guess it correctly. Okay. Yep. Like it has to be that. So
yeah,
I could see his Cincinnati score holding up. I really could.
Cincinnati score is not out of the question, but
no, the other one.
So here are the scenarios that lie ahead of us thus far. Okay, so me and Dan basically are going to end up with the same. We're going to end up tied either way, right? If both our teams lose, we still end up with the same record. Either way, we're going into the Super Bowl tied. Kirby, on the other hand, can make the ferocious comeback and end up tied with us as well, but also could end up at 500 at 6-6 should the Eagles and the Bengals both lose.
True.
So Kirby's taking a little bit of a gamble here. Not really. The Eagles, I feel like, is a very solid pick. That one is obviously the Chiefs Bengals. That's the toss-up one. That's the one where it's just like, man, there's no real, there's no right answer here, right? So Kirby is taking the biggest gamble, I guess you could say, because
hey, I'm the Los Angeles Rams at this point, putting it all in.
That's not true because what? Wait, hold on. Hold on.
He tried. He tried.
I mean, because like if you were going to be the Los Angeles, I guess he's trying to be the Rams of last year. But I mean, if you're going to reference them this year, you had to win, and last year Dan won. So
yeah,
and Dan's making it tough. Dan's making it real tough.
It's tough this year. It is tough.
It is tough indeed, but that's where it stands right now. And AFC and NFC championship game live stream in person. Boys, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, because we haven't done a live podcast or just a podcast in general with the three of us all in the same location.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah,
we've hung out, but we've never had done the podcast.
Never done
together.
a podcast.
Yeah, myself and Dan have done it, and it was just a whim last minute. I understand your feelings on that, Carlos, and we do apologize, but we're gonna make
you guys are haters. You guys are haters.
Yeah, that was kind of mean.
It's fine.
But not
it's fine.
But not really.
So with that wraps up another edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast. And gentlemen, it's almost sad to see the NFL season almost to a close.
I don't know.
Not according to Carlos.
Yeah, not.
I mean, listen, it does suck when you really think about it. We only have 3 real games left.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget the Pro Bowl in our Pro Bowl
flag football.
I will. I'll check it out, but I mean, I'm not like excited about it.
Yeah,
flag football is not exciting. Hawaii. Yeah,
I wish they would go back to Hawaii, but they don't have the stadium anymore.
Doesn't have the same vibe.
Yeah. But for the weapon Dan Dembski, the Swiss Army knife Carlos Martinez, I am Josh Kirby. For our great and wonderful sponsors, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, Barrett Pest and Termite Services, Shenandoah Music, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, in the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast, Don't Sleep Energy. Make sure you check out the Kirby on Sports podcast on all streaming platforms, all social media platforms, in www.kirbyonsports.com. Until the next time you hear us or see us, always remember to create greatness. And we say so long and peace out.